What is up, everyone? So finally, we're back with another video. I'm really sorry. This offseason has just been like last offseason we had some things going on towards the end of June, but here lately it's just been absolutely nothing, and there's nothing we can really do about that. We're just sitting here waiting patiently until the preseason so we can see how these players play. Players like Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, Marquez Callaway, all of these players that can get the spotlight, Juwan Johnson, etc. We're waiting to see these players in action, so until then, let's go ahead and talk about some camp battles. Camp battles was one of my favorite series from last year's offseason, where we go ahead and try to predict the depth of certain positions. In this one, we're going to be doing wide receivers, who is going to be starting, who is going to be cut, who is going to be practice squad. Now, I'm going to say this right now. This list is going to be bold. It's going to have bold predictions on it. It's not going to be the most realistic per se. It's realistic to me, but everybody's opinions are completely different on who is going to make the roster and who isn't. So go ahead and make sure to leave your list down in the comment section below and let me know who you think is going to be on the roster as far as wide receivers go. Now, last year, the New Orleans Saints kept 5 wide receivers, all of which, except for Michael Thomas, were kind of butt cheeks towards the entirety of the season and didn't really do much to help elevate the team. This year, I'm going to predict we keep one more with a total of 6 wide receivers on the active roster. So let's go ahead and talk about who these receivers are and why I think they're going to be there. The first wide receiver, excuse me, the first wide receiver, I don't have the corona. I just got spit in my throat. The first wide receiver I have on this list, of course, is Michael Thomas, because obviously he's going to be number 1 on the depth chart, Mr. 1,700 yards. He's going to be the number 1 without a doubt in my mind. Number 2, I have Emmanuel Sanders, which is another good reason. I mean, it's obvious Emmanuel Sanders is going to be the number 2 wide receiver. That's exactly what he was brought in to do. I think he's going to be a very, very, very big piece to this New Orleans Saints team this year. And hopefully what pushes us over the edge from years past to maybe get a Super Bowl victory, because our offense has been stunted a little bit in the playoffs the past couple of years. So I think adding Emmanuel Sanders as another piece, another weapon, is going to be a huge, huge thing for the Saints this year. Number 3, I have Tre'Quan Smith, who I'm putting him at number 3 because everybody else is kind of incapable to be that big of a piece of our offense. I just really hope Tre'Quan takes a step up and develops this year. If he doesn't, there's no extension for him in the near future. We really need to see him take a big stride forward this year. And if he doesn't, there's really no hope for Tre'Quan. He's one of those players that makes one really big, good-looking play in a game and then just disappears for the rest of it. But from what I've seen, he has potential. He just needs to utilize it. So I'll be keeping Tre'Quan Smith at number 3 for another year. Number 4, we have the speedy little dude, Deontay Harris. I actually really want Deontay to be put on the field more as a receiver this season, and I think that catch in the playoffs against the Minnesota Vikings, the catch from Taysom Hill, gives Deontay Harris a little bit of a wow factor, is like maybe we should roll with him out more. I think seeing him on the field, someone that's capable of running jet sweeps, who's capable of getting real deep at the top of a defense to really bust a team open and try to get a really, really, really deep completion. I like Deontay. I like his wheels, and I like his ability to catch the football. He's a returner, for God's sake. He's used to catching deep passes. So Deontay Harris, I want to see him at number 4. Number 5, this is where things start to get interesting. This is where the UDFAs and the second-year players and the rookies really start battling it out to see who is going to be, in my opinion, the 5th and 6th receiver on the active roster. Number 5, I have, which may trigger some people, it maybe some people will like it, I have Emmanuel Butler, and I think that this is a very justified pick. Emmanuel Butler, at 6'3", 221 pounds, spent 5 seasons at NAU, including a 2017 medical redshirt year for a shoulder injury, logging a career 187 interceptions, 3,217 yards, and 33 touchdowns, a 17.2 receiving average. He set school records in touchdown catches and receiving yards. Like, he's giant. And I said 6'3" before, but he's actually 6'4" with 33-inch arms. And being 6'4", managed to blaze a 4.48 40-yard dash, which is ungodly fast for 6'4", with a 36-inch vertical. Like, this dude is height, weight, and speed, which is all what you want in an NFL wide receiver. 6'4", 221 pounds, with a 4.48 40 time. That is all NFL caliber metrics, something that Emmanuel Butler could really put to use with a team like this. He has a little bit of a problem creating separation from higher caliber man-to-man corners, but I think that's something that could be worked on, addressed, and fixed. The good thing about Butler is his speed is serious for his height. You will not see many 6'4" guys capable of running a 4.48. He also has an incredible set of hands. I think this dude can impress and will impress many this offseason and earn himself a legit roster spot, because he was doing so last year. He was 100% that one player that everybody was talking about during Saints training camp that just didn't make the push into the NFL. It was due largely to his shaky preseason, in which he was dropping a good amount of passes. But when you're a dude who's been dreaming since he was a little kid about playing in the NFL, finally getting his opportunity to step on the field, and you know, the nerves are going to be hitting you. He did have a 12-yard touchdown catch from Teddy Bridgewater against the Miami Dolphins in preseason, showing a bit of what his amazing hands are capable of. I'd really like to see Emmanuel Butler on the field more, and I think he's capable of a lot. A really speedy big dude who's capable of finding mismatches and really making a defense pay. I would love to see Emmanuel Butler on the field, and I think he's 100% capable of doing great things. At number 6, my final active roster wide receiver spot, I have one that might shock a few of you, but might also make a few of you happy. Lil Jordan Humphrey? No. I have Marquez Callaway, okay? His top strengths are he has adequate size and speed as an outside wide receiver. His agility and foot quickness is absolutely insane. He could slide past press coverage really good. He's a vertical glider who can eat into soft coverage like a quarter pounder. If there's a hole or a mismatch, Marquez Callaway will find it and will exploit it. And that is a very good trait to have in the NFL. Someone that can just slip away, find a little hole, get set, and catch a ball and take it far. That's someone we need. Marquez Callaway is also a really good possession wide receiver, someone who can win 50-50 balls. He's someone that can beat your team deep. He can do anything. And this is someone who, if you watch the film of, you will grow to really be excited about. And I think Marquez Callaway is one of those people that I'm just like, dang. He can really make a difference. His main weaknesses, in my opinion, he has too many feast or famine box scores, which means that it's either he does really good or he does really bad. And this has a lot to do with him coasting a lot. He doesn't play up to his speed as much as you'd want him to. He needs to play faster. He likes to do this thing where he kind of just takes his time, rests in the middle of games, which is not something that Sean Payton will put up with, and it will be ironed out very quickly. So that's a weakness, but it's something that will be fixed. It's just sometimes mentally it is possible to, re-find that type of issue. I remember Kenny Vaccaro was caught coasting a while back and got beat over the top, and everybody was like, wow, that's bad. So receivers, it's not as big of a deal, but it's definitely a big one, especially when you're trusted to be out on the field. I think Marquez Callaway will not do that in the NFL, and I don't think Sean Payton would put up with it anyway. He's an awesome prospect. Callaway's broad and long jump were both ranked top 11 in the 2020 NFL Combine, and he also managed to run a 4.55, which is great for his 6'2" stature. The thing with big receivers like Callaway and Butler is that unless they're Michael Thomas, they need to have sub 4.6 speed to succeed in the NFL, because you're just not going to, get much done as a slow wide receiver. And this is a really big detriment to the next wide receiver I'm going to talk about when we go down the list of practice squad wide receivers. So these are wide receivers that I think that the New Orleans Saints want to keep, but aren't necessarily good enough to be difference makers on the active roster. These I have Juwan Johnson for no other reason than he's just an undrafted rookie. Juwan Johnson will be great at some point, most likely in my opinion, but I just think he needs a year to rest and get the whole NFL system and play style under his belt before the New Orleans Saints could try marching him out on the active roster. But one player I have here who it will be his second year on the practice squad if this does happen is Lil Jordan Humphrey. This dude ran a 4.79 40-yard dash. In the NFL, that is tight end speed. That's quarterback speed. Russell Wilson ran like a 4.55. Russell Wilson is faster than Lil Jordan Humphrey. He is extremely slow. I would see him struggling immensely to get open in the real NFL. Not preseason, the real NFL. I think he'd have a bit of a problem. He's a really, really, really slow dude, and I think that speed right there is going to be probably the nail in the coffin of his career if he doesn't, exemplify other extremely big attributes besides that. Austin Carr is another player I see on the practice squad. We just extended him, but he has 10 receptions for 106 yards in 2 years. He isn't a difference maker on the main roster, so in my opinion, he shouldn't be there. And the last wide receiver I have on this list, the last two, one is Krishan Hogan. I think we're going to cut him. He was 100% brought in to be a blocking tight end, and that's it. He was more of a tight end than a wide receiver, so that addition of Adam Trautman, I could see Krishan getting released. Trautman, yes, is more of a receiving tight end, but his presence opens up Josh Hill to block a bit more, so the blocking of Krishan Hogan won't 100% be necessary unless he transfers over to a tight end. And then the last one I have is Tommy Lee Lewis, which I don't even know why we re-signed him. He sucks. I don't know why the Saints decided to bring Tommy Lee Lewis back in. I don't agree with that at all. But let me know what you think down in the comment section below of this list. You may think it's terrible. It's a bold prediction list. I will be honest with you. So, Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Traquan Smith, Deontay Harris, Emmanuel Butler, and Marquez Callaway is my dream six. A mixture between big, medium, and speedy guys. A lot of which that, NFL defenses are going to be confused on what to cover, who to cover, and where to cover them at. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll try getting more out every so often. It's just, there's nothing to talk about. But we will be getting into some of these old series like we did back in the day in last year's offseason. So, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you boys in the next one. Adios.